This is the Watchdog Power Center from Hughes Autoformers. There's a little confusion on what this does and doesn't do, so today I'm going to cover all that. Plus I'm going to show you how I installed one of these inside our travel trailer. Let's get right into it. So what does this power center actually do for your RV? First, it's a surge protector, so protection against what we commonly think of as a surge, lightning hitting a power line, or when power is restored after an outage, as well as the internal surges you can get from large appliance power cycling. These surges can damage more sensitive electronic components like circuit boards or microprocessors. So there's large but less frequent surges as well as small but more frequent surges. In either case, surge protection is important. At the time of recording this, Hughes is still the only company with a replaceable surge module. Now, a surge module is not going to protect the power center or your RV if you experience something like a direct lightning strike, but it can absorb smaller surges, so you replace the surge module instead of the entire power center. Second, it's a circuit analyzer. Now, many RV surge protectors have circuit analyzation. You've seen them, all those different light combinations that tell you something is wrong at the campground pedestal. Unfortunately, that doesn't mean that surge protector actually protects against those conditions. Many of them will still let power through to the coach. It's basically your job to get the issue fixed or move to another site. The power center analyzes the circuit for you, and that kind of leads us to its third function, an EMS or electrical management system. An EMS will kill power going to the RV under certain conditions. For example, high or low voltage, high or low amperage, reverse polarity, and open ground or neutrals. Fourth, it's a type of step-up transformer, in other words, a voltage booster.
So you come to your site, you plug it in, everything turns on. If the dog lights up white, everything's good. So you plug the rest of your coach in. You can see the input voltage here from the pedestal and the output voltage. If the voltage does go a little bit low, in this case, it went down to 105 coming in. It's boosting, and it's boosting out to 114 to the unit. So, it comes back up. It'll boost less. And then if it goes too low or it can't boost the voltage to a safe range, which will automatically turn off. Like as you can see, drop down to 86. Yep. It'll turn off, and if the voltage comes back up into normal operating range, 119, 123. After 90 seconds, this will retest itself, and then it'll turn back on.
Voltage drop is bad for appliances. Even if they remain running, it can shorten the lifespan of your equipment over time. Power is neither guaranteed or the same at all RV parks. And the reality is voltage can drop when campground usage increases, like when you're at a full park in the middle of summer and everyone's running their AC. A voltage booster simply delivers more consistent power to your RV, and it does not rob power from your neighbors. I know there's some debate on this. It trades current for voltage. The power center does not rob power from the supply. It delivers the power you have available at a safe operating voltage. Now, the way I understand it, a transformer can pull slightly more amperage from the pedestal to compensate for the voltage boost. But you still can't pull more than 50 or 30 amps from the pedestal. The breaker will trip. Plus, it prevents the additional current you pull when voltage drops from reaching your RV. And by all rights, we should be able to use every bit of that amperage provided by the campground up to the breaker rating. I know the NEC reversed the ban on RV campground voltage boosters in 2023, maybe because nobody can prove they steal power, and I haven't found an independent test that proves they do. Okay, fifth, in addition to the onboard display, it's Bluetooth capable. You can see real-time electrical stats on their phone app within that 25 to 30 foot Bluetooth range. And if you have campground or RV Wi-Fi, you can connect to that and monitor from anywhere in the world. You can turn power off going to your coach. It's got a resettable energy meter if you want to monitor or track your power consumption during specific dates, which may be helpful for those of you with metered seasonal sites, and you can get notifications on your phone as things happen. The location of all this equipment is going to be different for everyone based on the floor plan, so I'm not going to waste your time with a long, drawn-out step-by-step guide. Also, working around 120 volt is a big deal. Things like using fresh wire instead of previously clamped wire, cutting the insulation and jacket to the correct length, and torquing the set screws or lugs are all ridiculously important steps, especially on a house that constantly moves. All reasons why this installation should be performed by an RV technician or electrician. I am, however, going to show you some of the important things to plan for if you're considering a hardwire. And remember, if you still want the power center for your RV, you can still use it out here where it's designed to be. I'd consider getting a lock if you leave it outside, and I'll put some links down in the description to a heavy-duty chain lock we use for our e-bikes. The normal order of this circuit is power pedestal, power center, the power cord, which goes through the inlet and is wired directly to the breaker box. Pretty simple. The power center will instead be inside, but of course the order of the components does not change. So let me show you what I did. Before we start disconnecting anything, I'm just going to plug this in and make sure it works. Then I'm disconnecting all power, unplugging 120 volt AC and disconnecting the negative terminals on my 12 volt batteries, since the converter is right next to my breaker box. This is a 50 amp trailer, so as far as power wire, I will be using what's called 6-3 with ground. It's 3 6-gauge wires for your neutral, hot leg 1 and 2, plus a ground wire. Now 30 amp campers would normally use what's called 10-2 with ground. It's 10 gauge wire instead of 6, and there's only one hot. I first started by wiring new Romex to the back of the power cord inlet. For now, I'm just going to fish this wire into the RV and get my inlet reinstalled. We'll finish everything up on the inside. Hughes makes a floor/wall mount for the power center that I'll be using for this installation. Plus, Venture uses 5/8 inch tongue and groove plywood for this floor, so I can mount this right to the wood floor without any concern for additional bracing. Next, we need to run the new wire from the inlet over to the power center. The power center by design is not a hardwire unit, so they make a kit for hardwiring. The wire from the inlet will hardwire into this 50 amp receptacle. The input of the power center plugs into this receptacle, and then the male dog bone, the other half of the hardwire kit, plugs into the power center and is wired directly to the breaker box. Because we used the plug and receptacle hardwire kit, you can see this isn't technically hardwired. There's a few reasons for doing this. First, Hughes understandably doesn't want you removing the plug and hardwiring into the power center itself. It will void your warranty. Second, probably the big reason, receptacles are often used for this type of installation to retain the ability to easily remove the power center should you need to replace the surge module or the entire unit itself. The third reason is because these 30 and 50 amp NEMA receptacles can be used indoors if they're located where they don't need GFCI protection. Even though we have water lines in here, NFPA 1192 code does not consider plumbing pipes as accessible water sources, like a sink or shower tub. While GFCI protection is required within 6 feet of accessible water, plumbing lines themselves don't count. You'll notice the converter plugs into a receptacle on the breaker box with no GFCI protection. That's why on RVIA code compliant RVs, as this one is, you'll find water lines running over all kinds of electrical equipment, the breaker box, the converter, the furnace, just to name a few. I'm not saying anyone loves that idea, but it is code compliant. You've probably seen power management devices installed with receptacles 1,000 times in fifth wheel storage compartments. In a travel trailer, your options are more limited, and even though the power center is designed to be outside in the rain, the receptacle is the key factor here. All things to be considering or asking an electrician when choosing a spot for your power center. Okay, this is a question I know a few of you are going to be asking. How do I pre-test the power pedestal? Normally, when arriving at a campground, you plug only your surge protector or EMS into the pedestal, turn the breaker on, and confirm that there's nothing wrong with the power coming out before connecting the RV. It's easy to disconnect the RV from the power center in something like a wide open fifth wheel bay. In a travel trailer where the power center is buried, that would be a much more time consuming process. The good news is with Power Watchdog products with emergency power off or EPO, and I've confirmed this with Hughes, you can just plug everything in and turn on the breaker. Now, as soon as that breaker is flipped on, you will see the power center or portable unit light up, but it's not immediately letting power through to the RV. It's analyzing the circuit first. After 3 to 4 seconds, if everything checks out, you'll hear that clunk noise. That's the contactor closing, and that's when power is allowed into the RV. Now, I would still open the app after connecting to make sure there's no minor issues at the pedestal, but Hughes products with EPO do the testing for you. If you still want to analyze the circuits before connecting, you can, of course, just plug in your old portable unit first if you still have it, or pick up a small circuit analyzer for around 20 or 30 bucks. I'll link to some below. There's a couple different apps for the Power Watchdog product line. The Power Center has Wi-Fi capability, so make sure you get the correct app. The logo has the blue dog. In addition to what I showed you on the app at the beginning beginning of the video, you'll be able to see the input voltage from the pedestal, the boosted output voltage to the RV, the amp draw, frequency, and wattage for both legs if your camper is 50 amps. For 30 amp RVs, the display will of course only show one leg. This is how an alert will look on your phone, and this is what the error display will look like once you open the app. Because of the built-in Autoformer, these are not inexpensive, so if you want power protection without the step-up transformer, you have other options, either a portable power watchdog at the pedestal or a hardwired unit in your RV. I wanted the best protection not only for this trailer, but all the computer and camera equipment I use for the channel. This is my livelihood. I understand that's not going to be the mindset for all of you watching, but Hughes does offer a few options based on your needs and budget, and for your convenience, I'll link to them down below. Please leave any questions you have down in the comment section below. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you in the next one.